Hello, welcome back to the Story Hour podcast, Voices Unscripted, Stories Rewritten with your host, Sara, registered counselor, certified grief educator, a certified life coach, and a lover of the human experience, and deeply passionate about connecting with you on a soul level to have real, raw, honest, vulnerable conversations, all about storytelling, about life, and just everything in between. And so here we are. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is so exciting. This is the 10th and final episode of the Story Hour podcast for 2025. We made it. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it that this is such a big milestone for the Story Hour podcast, for me, for you, for my community, for the TSH community, all the listeners. It's been so incredible. I can't believe it. And what a way to end off the year. I have so much I want to share, and it's the holiday season. I think there's a lot that can be shared around that and just an open, honest dialogue around the holiday season and how some of you are feeling. How are you feeling? I'm just really curious about how everyone's doing, and I'll share some personal aspects about myself in the holiday season and how I navigate that and what comes up for me during this time. And then also, yeah, I really want to commemorate the milestone here at the Story Hour podcast, the 10th episode. And what a great way to end the year. Like, holy smokes. And literally, when this episode will air, it'll be 6 months to the date that the Story Hour podcast was launched 6 months prior. And so I was reflecting a lot, and I came up with 6 insights from 6 months of podcasting that I want to share with you that are relatable, not just in the context of podcasting, but just life in general, starting something new, building and launching and being in creation. So we are going to get to all that. And then I want to talk about, I'm going to leave you with some journal prompts. I really want you to reflect and take something away with you from this episode and just everything that we've talked about on the Story Hour podcast so far. 6 months, 10 episodes. There is so much goodness. If you haven't already, please go back and watch all the episodes. There is so much knowledge, wisdom, inspiration, empowerment, storytelling, tools, resources, coping mechanisms, education, so much on there. I have guest speakers in there as well. It would be amazing if you could go back and listen. And of course, like, save, subscribe, leave a review, download the episode, share them with family and friends and whoever you think could benefit from it. And I'm going to leave you with some prompts to close off. This is going to be my last episode, of course. This is going to air the week of Christmas, just the way everything's landing. And I have a few episodes launching prior to them. And I'm going to take a couple of weeks off. And then we're going to come back in January and see where the Story Hour podcast is going to take us in 2026. I'm so excited to be here. It's been such an honor to host the Story Hour podcast. And as I've always said, and I will forever say, this is for you, for me, for us. Collectively, and again, selfishly, it's for me as well, because I always learn something every time I'm on here from guests and even just through my own teachings and speakings. Like, as much as I share that for all of you, I also need those reminders for myself because, again, I'm human. I still struggle and I still face all the things that I share with you. I struggle with them on my own. And yeah, anyway, so it's going to be a little bit of a mix and match kind of episode and various topics, but of course, all interconnected. And let's just see where it takes us. I'm really excited to be here. I'm feeling in the festive mood. I have my coffee, using all my coffee mugs, all my Christmas ones. It actually says joy on the other side of that. If you're watching this, you'll be able to see that. But yeah. Oh, okay, where to start? Holiday season. Let's start there because we are a couple of weeks out before Christmas. And how are you doing? How is your heart? How are you navigating this season? I know it can be very difficult for a lot of people, as joyous and happy and celebratory that we all can be. It's also not like that for a lot of people. So I really want to acknowledge you that if you are going through a really hard time, if you are navigating a lot in your life, whatever that may be, I see you, I hear you, I feel you. I'm with you, to be really honest. Over the last couple of years, I've had a really big love-hate relationship with Christmas. Growing up, I used to be really obsessed with it. I was so into it and so excited about it, and my energy was just very different growing up and when I was, like, younger, or even in my, like, I guess, teenage years and early adult years, like, yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a really special time, and it has nothing to do with the gift giving, but it's more the family time, the special memories, but aside from all of that, I feel like ever since my vision loss stuff has happened and things have, progressed over the years and just where I'm at in life, I think, I feel like the last several years, I've really struggled with Christmas. There is joy and excitement there. And at the same time, there is a lot of just grief. There's a lot of sadness. There's a lot of, I think, anger a little bit even comes up. But mostly it's just really deep sadness and profound grief that I struggle with around this time of year. And I'm sharing all this because I know this is relatable. I've talked to many people and you hear it all the time that Christmas is actually not that happy for a lot of people. A lot of people don't have family. A lot of people don't have, the means to do Christmas the way that, like, quote unquote, everyone is doing it or the way it's commercialized and all of that. And I get that. Christmas is so commercialized. And of course, like, I'm guilty of that. We fall into that. Um, but I think it's really lost its true meaning of what Christmas really is. And people are exhausted, they're tired and feeling obligations to host and do all these things and do them big and extra and all of that and feel like we need to be happy and that we need to be excited because that's what everyone else is doing. And that's what it's kind of like put on us, right? You see it everywhere in the news and the radio channels, you're going out and about. And I'm just here to say, like, if that's not how you're feeling, then that's how you're not feeling. Like, I get it. And a lot of family dynamics, a lot of people don't talk to their family members. A lot of people don't have anyone to spend Christmas with. And my heart goes out to each and every one of you because yeah, that is really sad. Um, and so, I really hope you're doing okay. And I think it's okay to say no. I think a lot of times we feel that pressure and we feel that obligation. We feel like we have to show up. But I'm here to tell you that you can knock that down and you can say no. Stand firm in your boundaries and it's okay to say no. You don't have to attend every event that you're invited to. You don't have to go everywhere just because you feel like you need to, right? Like if you're feeling like you don't have the energy or the capacity to show up somewhere, then I think it's okay to say no. And we have a really hard time doing that. I think especially culturally too, like we're so ingrained. I know in my family dynamics, even like just within our households and stuff, it's like, well, no, they invited us that we need to go. We should go. It's going to look bad if we don't go. And I kind of grew up like that and rooted in that, but I've really shifted that. And if I don't have the energy and I don't have the capacity and I don't want to be somewhere where I'm just not going to feel good, then I've started to say no to certain things. And that's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean anything about anyone else. It's just where I'm at mentally and emotionally is usually what it comes down to. And if I'm being really honest and really transparent, because hello, that's me. Um, I skipped out on Christmas evening last year. I ended up staying home by myself and I think I watched some TV, but then I ended up falling asleep early because I was so exhausted because we have such a busy week, basically days before Christmas, like starting on like the 19th, 20th, all the way through to Boxing Day. It's a really busy time for us, lots of dinners, and we have my niece's birthday, which is in there as well. Shout out to her actually, because when this episode airs, it's going to be on her birthday, December 22nd. Happy birthday, Ariana. So that's obviously special in its own way, but it is another function. Like I have to say, we just go to my brother's house and it's very small and intimate and it's fine. But it's still like getting out of your house and like having to go somewhere and be social and be on. So it's just another event outside of Christmas and then Boxing Day, which we do as well. And so just the way our family has grown up and done it, our dynamics, like it's always been like that. 24, 25, 26, it's always been like that since I was younger. And so that's busy. And then whatever else comes before and after that. Right now, it's my niece's birthday. She'll be 11. So the last 11 years, we've been doing that. But it gets exhausting. It's tiring, right? And like, I think the older that I've gotten and just where I am in this stage of life, and I think in general, it's like I really value my alone time. I really value my me time. I need my quietness. I get like my friend, shout out to you, Harj, because she used the phrase social hangover many years ago when we were in school. And I was like, that is so true. It's like a hangover, but it's a social hangover because you're just like tired from socializing and having to have conversations and be on. And so I know a lot of you can relate because I know a lot of you like to have your me time and alone time and just quietness, right? And just to be with yourself. And so anyways, yeah, I did that last year. For the first time, I was also not in a very good headspace, if I'm being really honest. Last year, I was pretty depressed, I have to say. I was in a really low depressive episode and state. And there was a multitude of things. This time of year is always really hard. I've shared this in many episodes, especially in the one around living with vision loss, the one I talked about the anger that was coming up for me. And so I think that's episode 7. Go watch that if you haven't to get a better understanding of what this time of year brings up for me. Um, but yeah, just that, right? Like it's dark and the weather's not that great, and I struggle with my vision a lot. I can't drive past like 2:30 p.m. And so I have my whole day. So all of that, which I don't want this episode to be about the vision loss, but um yeah, anyway, so I was feeling that. And some years it's actually been okay. I think like not last year, but the year before, I felt better. Not maybe not 100%, but I felt okay. But last year it just really hit me and I just felt really sad. And I'm going to touch on that because I know this is going to be relatable for a lot of my single listeners, my single friends out there, friends, acquaintances, whoever, because my close circle, actually no one really is single. Maybe a couple of people, they're newly single. So I'm basically the only single one in my circle, really. And so that also brings up a lot for me. I've shared this before in, I think, episodes. Yes, I did. I talked about this summer will be different. I'm not going to go too much into it again because you can go back and listen to those episodes. But the summer hits me really hard when it comes to being single, and so does Christmas time. And the reason being, I believe, is Christmas time. Like, again, everyone's out and about, everyone's doing things with their families, with their kids, the matching pajamas, the traditions that they do, the family pictures, and all of that. And yeah, you can do that with friends and stuff, but mostly everyone's doing that with their spouses, with their husbands, with their kids. And it's not that I want that because I see that. I'm always like that. If you know me by now, I mean, 10 episodes in, and if you know me personally, you know that's the heart of who I am. I love that kind of stuff. I love love. I love traditions. I love just all of those memories that we make. Like, those are the biggest moments to me. And I don't have that. I don't have a partner. I don't have kids. Of course, I have my family and I love them so much, my parents, my siblings, the kids. And we do have traditions that we do within the family and what have you, but it's not the same. Like, I really long for having my own family, my own partner, that I can have my own traditions on top of my other family traditions. Even thinking about kids, like to wake up Christmas morning and to spend it with your kids and to see the joy on their faces. Like, I see that through my nieces and nephews, but it's not the same. I long for that and I wish that. And I can even feel the emotion right now. And I'm really going to try to get through this without the emotion because I don't really want this to be about that. I don't want this episode to be so emotional, but it's just a reality of my life and where I'm at. And I know I'm not the only one. I know other people feel it too. And that's just it's really hard. And so I think that's why during Christmas time, I really feel this sadness, and that grief is the grief around the grief of the future. I've talked about this. Grief isn't just what we've lost in the present moment. We also experience grief for the future we envision for ourselves. The life that we dreamed of, the life that we thought we would have, but we don't have. There is so much grief in the future, and I struggle with that. I'm very open and honest with that. It's part of grief that no one really talks about, but I am here to talk about it because I know it's relatable and it's my own personal experience and it impacts me. And I think everyone, I'm deeply rooted in the belief that we are wired for connection. Absolutely. And when I hear people say that they're good on their own, I'm really curious, not in a judgmental way, but in a non-judgmental curiosity way. Like, what's underneath that? And a lot of times there's a lot of wounds, there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of abandonment, there's a lot of isolation. And it's like a protective mechanism that we say that we're okay on our own. But my deep deeply rooted belief, my personal belief is that we are all wired and we all need connection, some form of it. And so that's just me. And I want that so bad, you guys, like so, so, so bad. I'm 38. I want to be married. I want a husband. I want someone to do life with. I want a life partner. I want someone to be there for me emotionally, physically, like all of that, mentally, like someone to just bounce ideas off of, someone to just hang out with rather than being by myself 24/7. Um, just so many things that come with that. And yeah, Christmas time. And I will be very honest, as I am, is that the last couple of years on and off, I've been very triggered. I've had to take like time off social media, which I do anyways. And I really encourage that. I've also talked about this in other episodes, so you can go back and listen to them. But I was 1 year, I remember I was feeling very triggered. I think even last year I was, and I had to step back from being online because I wanted that. I kept seeing everyone's highlight pictures and reels and the family photos and the matching pajamas and all these traditions and going and doing all these things. And I was so mad and not at them. I love that for everyone else. Like, go and live your life, share it. I'm a big believer in that too. And I advocate for that. Like, we shouldn't shy away from sharing our life and sharing what we want to share. That's our own personal decision of what we want to do. And actually warms my heart. I actually really love seeing that because to me, that's what life is about. But it's an internal thing. It's because it's just reminding me that I don't have that. And it reminds me of the grief and the sadness that I feel around that. And to be honest, it's a really deep, deep longing. I've shared this before. And the reason why I brought up this summer will be different episode is because I shared last summer that I was in a really like low mood as well. And a lot of it had to do around being single and really longing and like desperately wanting companionship and like that intimacy, emotional and physical, and being with someone. And like I said, having a life partner, having a soulmate, having a husband, having someone to do things with and just do life with. And so I shared that. And I remember saying, so that was last year. And this year, I was like, I cannot go through that again. So I trained myself. I was rewiring my belief systems and my thought patterns and all of that, doing all this inner work. And I remember saying, I cannot live like that again. God obviously has a plan. My timing is not meant to be the timing of everyone else. And it's going to happen when it's going to happen. And I was like, no, you can't do that again. And so this year, I knew Christmas is coming around. I also had a really shitty Christmas last year. Like I said, I was really depressed and I was really just mad and angry and upset at my situation. And it just trickled into every other aspect of my life and not just the singleness, but the vision loss and just other things. That was really hard. And so this year, I'm like, okay, this Christmas will be different. Sarah, you can't go through that again. That was really hard. You were very not okay. This Christmas will be different. And so I've been trying to use that. And funny story is that the last couple of years, I've always put my tree up way too early. I think I just got excited and everyone else obviously was doing it. So I'm like, okay, to get into the festive mood, I'll do that. But I've put it up like early, mid-November maybe. And by the time Christmas rolls around, I'm over it. I'm so over it. I want nothing to do with it. I want my house back to normal. And so this year, I was like, we need to do things differently, Sarah. So I actually put it off. I'm like, I'm not putting it up in mid-November. I'm going to wait till the first week of December. And that's what I did. And it was funny because my dad kept asking me because my stuff is stored at their house. And he was like, do you want your Christmas tree? When are you putting it up? And I was like, no, 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 I'm going to wait. And he always laughed because he always thinks we're crazy for putting it up so early. And so it's like this ongoing joke. And it was up to my dad. He'd put up his tree like the week of Christmas. So it's a running joke in our family. And so finally I was like, no, Dad, I'll get it at the end of the month. And so, yeah, I didn't put it up and I felt okay about that. And I put it up, I think like right before December 1st. And now it's up and we grew up always taking our tree down on December 26th. Our family was always like that. My parents are a little bit OCD and wanted to get their house back in order, clean everything, put it away, and start New Year's fresh. And I like that. And because we grew up with that, I think I just became second nature. But I also like that as well. I want the clutter away. I want my house back to normal. I want to start the new year fresh. So since I moved out and I've been living on my own, I've done that. Boxing Day, first thing I do when I get up is I take everything down, pack it up, tape it up, and then that's it. And then my house is back to normal. And I love that. It's such a great feeling. And then to just enter the new year just so fresh and so just clean and rejuvenated. And I feel there's more clarity. I don't know, clean space, clean mental space, which I think is very true and valid. So this year, yeah, I am feeling pretty okay right now. I have to say, yesterday, I feel maybe I got a little bit sad thinking about being single and not having my own family and partner and waking up on Christmas morning by myself. And yeah, I mean, I can go sleep at my parents' house, but like, I don't want to. I like my own home. I like waking up in my own space, in my own bed, and like in front of my own tree and all of that. Like, I really am obsessed with my home. And so it is what it is. And, yeah, like if you're single and you long for that and you also feel triggered during this time, like you're not alone. I definitely, again, I see you, I feel you, I hear you. I am right there with you. And a lot of people I've learned don't get it. If they're not in it, they don't understand it. And that's nothing, that's not right or wrong. And that's not saying anything about them, but most people just won't. I have family, I have friends, and they just don't necessarily understand it. They don't get it because most of them are all paired off and have kids. Again, there's only 2 friends of mine that are recently single. Everyone else is married and has kids. And even within the family, everyone's mostly married except for a couple of younger cousins. And it's just sad and no one gets it. And they'll obviously, give you the toxic positivity. It'll happen when it happens, when you least expect it. Don't worry. And again, this is no fault to anyone, but it dismisses the grief and it dismisses the sadness. And so I'm pretty comfortable like speaking to that, but I know a lot of people like it ends up hurting them more because they don't feel seen and they don't feel understood. And it's like people just want to fix you, right? And like I get that. We're just built like that as humans. We don't want to see our loved ones in pain. So we just want to fix it. But that's really hard when someone's going through such a hard time and, dealing with the grief of the future because it's such a real thing. And we get caught up in our heads and timelines and our age and like all of that. And I think that's valid, to feel like that. And so this is why I'm sharing all that because I want to normalize these conversations. And this is one thing about the future, but this could trickle into so many aspects. And I have to say, most people don't understand it because they're not in it. A lot of times people will say to me is, relationships aren't hard or it's a lot of work and like the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And to be honest, I actually really fucking hate that saying because it's just dismissive. I hate it. It doesn't make me feel good because it's like, yeah, that's fine. And of course, the grass isn't always greener on the other side, but it's like, I still want it. I still long for it. Like my body, my mind, my just everything about me is so deeply wanting this and craving it and desperately wanting that companionship. And I use the word desperately and I say that intentionally too, because it's not a bad thing. Again, we're so wired for connection. I'm not meant to do life alone. I do not believe that, especially me. Community connection, collective healing. If you know me, I thrive off, spaces like that with connection, whether that's one-on-one quality time with friends or family, or whether that's in group events. Like I'm the one that's always planning things because I love that. I love being with other people. And that's what life's about. Like those are the memories that you're going to hold on to at the end of your life is that. It's like, everyone around you and your love and the support and all of that, your communities, whether that's personally or professionally. And so I'm rooted in that. And so it's like, yeah, the grass isn't always greener on the other side and relationships are hard. Like, duh, no shit, right? Like, of course that is. Any relationship is hard, whether that's an intimate relationship, whether that's a friendship, whether that's a family relationship, whatever it is, it's hard work. Communication, emotional intelligence, responsibility, accountability, like all that plays through with every relationship we have. It's not just an intimate relationship or with a husband or a wife. That's with everyone. Like friendships aren't easy always. Friendships can be hard as well. Sibling relationships, parent relationships, like every relationship, it's rooted in all those things, right? Like if you don't have communication, if you can't speak your needs and desires and hold space for someone else to share what they're feeling and, maybe how you made them feel, all those things, they're hard. So for you to say, or for someone to tell you like, oh, relationships are hard. Are you sure you want that? It's like, yeah, I'm fucking sure. I want that. I want that so bad. Like, please God, give it to me now, like yesterday. And I'm going to be very open about that. And I started to this year because I kept that part about me a little bit quiet I've shared it a little bit here and there. I actually shared a really good post several Christmases ago where I shared about that, about how I'm deeply longing for that. And I think that was the first time I put that out there into the world. And again, to normalize it, because I know there's other people who are single who feel the exact same way. And so this year, I don't know, I started to be more open and more vocal about it. I recorded a podcast episode about it. And I really brought you into that aspect of my life. And I haven't even touched the surface on it, but here I am now. I think this is the next iteration of me speaking to being single and deeply longing for a partner, for a husband, for a soulmate, for someone to do life with. And I'm just becoming more comfortable with it because before I held a lot of judgment. I'm this age, I haven't found anyone. Am I ever going to find anyone? Everyone else around me has found someone. And then all your insecurities come up. But I've been doing this for I think so long now that I've become more comfortable with myself. I'm starting to own my story a lot more proudly, boldly, confidently. I've also started to own my vision loss a lot more boldly, confidently. And I feared that for sure. For the first many years ago when I was dating or when I was talking to someone, I had a really hard time about talking about my vision loss. And I didn't even talk about it because it was so heavy at that time. But I wonder, is anyone going to want me? Is anyone going to love me? Is anyone going to be able to accept my vision loss? Like all those things. And it fucking, like, it's a lot. Mentally, it was so much. But I've come so far and I've done so much work. I've, really loved myself. And that's a whole other conversation about self-love and really loving yourself first before anyone else can love you, because that is so true. And I didn't realize that because I thought someone else was going to come and fix that. They're going to make me happy. Or, you hear all the time, my other half. It's like, no, it should be two fulls coming together, not two halves. And so, again, this is a whole other separate conversation, but I had all that. I'm a lot more confident now with who I am, where I am, what I've done in my life, like everything that I've accomplished, what I can bring into a relationship, not even just all the materialistic, physical things, but what I can bring emotionally, what I can bring with my heart and to my soul and everything into a companionship, into partnership. And the vision loss, like I've started to, if I'm going on dates or if I'm talking to someone, I've started to say, hey, I can't drive at night. Let's meet during the day. It's a long story. I can share it with you in person. It's not a texting story. That never happened 5, 6 years ago. That is a new thing, actually, the last couple of years. And I started to do that when I'm in the process of meeting someone or what have you. And it's easy. It doesn't bring me any like angst or anything. It just rolls off so easily. And that's a testament to how much growth and transformation has happened within myself, personally, and all the inner work that I've done to get here. But it takes work. And so, if you're in a situation that you're feeling this in your own way, I'm just sharing obviously my own experience with the vision loss and what have you. Um, it just takes time, right? And it's that courage of being vulnerable, allowing yourself, your heart to speak, to shine. And it takes time and it's uncomfortable. I will tell you that. I'm not here to sugarcoat it. It's very uncomfortable at the beginning. I've shared this before in previous episodes. When I first shared my whole vision loss story, it was so raw. It was so vulnerable, you guys. It was so deep. I literally poured my entire heart and soul out, like literally out to the world, to the universe. And I was so scared. I remember hitting that submit button or whatever button. And I was like panicking. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But that was the beginning of the storytelling with Sara. That's where it all began. And so I'm sharing all that because this is where I am at now. And so again, that longing is still there. And I don't know. I'm in a pretty good space right now, currently, as I'm recording this episode and as I'm sharing this. Like, obviously, the thoughts have crossed my mind and they do. And I think about Christmas and all of that. But I feel pretty grounded. And I have to say, there are parts of me that really wish things are different. Like, I will tell you how many times I'm on my hands and knees begging, God, please. And I don't just say that as a cliche. I say that truly. If you know me, you've been following me, you know I'm very big on prayer and God and the connection I have with myself and the universe and God and all of that. But it's like, and then I wonder, like, I have so much faith and confidence, and I feel like I've surrendered more and more as the years have gone on. Like, it's gonna happen. My timeline is my timeline. Like, and at the same time, I question it. And I'll be very honest. I think a lot of people might be like, well, that's contradicting. How can you believe in God so much and surrender and say that? And at the same time, say you've lost faith and you don't know if it's going to happen and you question God. And I'm here to say, I don't care about any of that. That's the reality of how I feel. And when I'm in it, when I'm really feeling depressed about it or just feeling really down and out about it, that's when I lose everything. And that's when I'll have conversations with God and I'll be like, well, what are you making me wait for? Why am I having to wait so long when everyone around me has it? And that is really hard. That's just really hard. And it's really sad because, like, why me? Right. And you kind of get into that a little bit, but it just fucking sucks because, like, I've done all this work. I'm doing all this. I've, grown and evolved and all that stuff. And I know previous relationships would have never lasted because they just wouldn't have lasted. But where I am now, it's like, why are you making me wait? Like, what is it? What more do I need? What more do I need to do? And and even when I'm saying that, a lot of it is like, you just need to surrender. You just need to let go of it. You need to stop hyper fixating on it. And then I get to that point and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling good. And I'm like, it's going to happen and it's all good. But then it's not happening. I'm fucking 38 years old. Like, what the heck? Like, how much more waiting do I have to do? And that's just the hard part about it. And that's just the reality of it. And I'm sharing this openly and very just raw and real with you is because that's how I feel. And I know I'm not alone in that. And so this is why I'm sharing that sadness and that profound grief that I talk about. Like that's there. Like that's what I'm feeling inside all the time. Yeah, and then you get caught up in the comparison, right? That's where the social media stuff, the triggering comes in. It's like you see it everywhere and it just sucks. Cause like, what is it going to be my time? And you get caught up in and then the insecurities come in, you start questioning yourself again. And it's just taking a couple of steps forward and then you take a couple of steps back. And that's when I question God. And I'm like, like what's happening? Why do I have to wait so long? Um, and yeah. That's just the reality of it. One of my really good friends shared that with me because I was really upset last summer. I was crying and I was telling her basically all this and just really sharing my grief around that. And she had said to me, yeah, you get like this during the summer and the Christmas. And I was like, you're so right. Like throughout the year, of course, I think about it, but it's especially in the summer and Christmas because that's when everyone's out and about. That's when like we should all be having fun and doing all the things. And then Christmas is the same thing. Those I feel like are the two big seasons of our years that people start to really feel just down and about so many things. I'm again just sharing my perspective and my own personal experience, but it does happen. And so it's like this pressure, right? And not even pressure, but it's like I genuinely want it. And so I think there's a difference there. Like, I think if you want something because you think that's what you should have and that's what you need because that's what society is telling you, that's what your family is telling you, that's what your friends are telling you, that's different. There's a lot of work that needs to be done there if that's how you feel. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, if you're feeling this need and pressure to do something or to be something that you don't want to be, that stems from a lot of things. And that's where you would need therapy and help and support to unpack that. For me personally, it's not that. I genuinely want this. I've been like this my whole life. I've longed for it my whole life. If you know me, you know my values, just what I share and what I teach and what I educate, you know that I've always wanted that. My close friends, they've said that, yeah, you've wanted this since we were kids, when we were in high school. Like, it's so true. I've always longed for it. So it's not like I'm just doing this because of the societal pressures or my family pressures or my friend pressures. I'm doing this because it's my own desire and want. Like so deeply, you guys. A part of me, I have one foot in. A part of me is like, okay, it's gonna happen. Like my story is gonna be my story. I know time is not linear, like all of that. And I feel that. I'm like, yes, God, it's happening. It's gonna happen. And then it doesn't happen. And then I'm falling into, okay, maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe I'm not worthy. Maybe I'm not going to find someone who's going to appreciate and love me for who I am, who's not going to accept me for, X, Y, Z. Then I fall into that. And this is in years in the making, especially the last, like, I'd say 5, 6 years, it's really come to the surface and it's not happening. And that's when I get into that cycle of what the fuck, basically. How much longer do I have to wait? And I'm just sick of waiting. I don't know. It's just really hard. And yeah, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something. Um, yeah, I even thought, I remember just pumping myself up. I'm like, okay, this is going to be my last birthday, celebrating my birthday single, or every Christmas. I'm like, no, okay, it's going to happen. Next Christmas, I'm going to have someone. And I do that. Of course, I do that because the desire is so deep in my heart and the longing is so there that I think about that sometimes. There's seasons of life where I don't hyperfixate on it and then it's still not happening. And so I'm sharing this because to really paint a picture for you of what it's like to live with that every single day and see everyone else getting married and engaged and having babies. And it's everywhere and it's so celebrated. And it's like, I don't have any of that. And I feel like it just, yeah, I don't know. This is a whole other conversation, but I'm gonna drop it in here because it's so real. But it's like people only recognize and celebrate those accomplishments because that's just what is normal, quote unquote. Those are the standards. You know, you get a good job, you have a good career, you go to school and you get married and then you have kids. And then, you know, that's what's praised and that's what's appreciated. And I've seen that. I've done so many things in my life and the amount of support that I've gotten versus if I were to show up and say, hey guys, I'm getting married or I'm having a baby, the amount of support would be so vastly different. Like it's with all my accomplishments and all that. And I'm not saying this for everyone. So for the ones who are listening and have supported me and have loved me and have cheered me on in the highs and the lows, like I see you, this message isn't for you. This is a general thing. And this is actually a really big conversation with that, celebrating all those monumental things that we deem important and you're all of a sudden you're successful. I've seen it personally in my own personal experiences with other people, how as soon as they get married, they're praised so much. It's like, oh my gosh, they just accomplished something so big. But really, is it that big? What about launching a business or doing all this other growth and transformation, right? Healing your body, all of that. That's just some examples that are coming through, but those aren't as celebrated enough. And I remember saying this to my best friend. And I just said, if I were to share something or if I had sent a message like, I'm getting married, I met someone, the amount of feedback and engagement and phone calls and this and that would be vastly different from the support I get with the other things that I'm doing. And I share this because it's a real thing. And it's just my point being here. Again, this is a whole other conversation that one day I will have. But my point here is like, why are all those things so much more celebrated? And you get in your head about it, is what I'm trying to get at. Well, I'm not this because I don't have that, or I haven't accomplished this, or haven't accomplished that. So all those things, I feel like I'm just rambling. I feel like I'm making sense maybe, but these are all just real things. And tying it back to Christmas is it's really real and I feel it. I for sure feel that. And if you're in that same kind of position and you're single and you're longing for that, I see you and I know it's hard and I don't really know what else to say to that because I'm in it. And if you're asking, well, what do I do and how do I navigate that? I think it just is. You just really have to get really rooted and grounded in yourself and your life and really dive into that self-love journey that I spoke about earlier. Really start appreciating yourself because a lot of times we think that someone else is going to come complete us. So if that's where you're at and you're thinking everything will be better and I'll be more happier when I find him, I'd really encourage you to sit with that and do some work around that. Because I think a lot would come up for that. And in partnership, in companionship, like people add value, right? They shouldn't be filling something. They should be adding to what you already have. And I always say, and I've been saying this since I've recognized this myself and have been in this journey, the self-love journey is like, yeah, if we can't love ourselves, how do we expect someone else to love us? If we can't compliment ourselves, if we can't love on ourselves, if we can't look ourselves in the mirror and be like, damn, like I look good, but you're expecting that from your husband or your partner or whatever, that's going to be really hard because if that doesn't happen constantly, you're going to feel some way about yourself. And that's an internal thing, because then it's going to just almost validate that that's how you feel. But it shouldn't, because we need to be very strong and rooted in ourselves. So I think that's all I'll say about that. I hope everyone has a great holiday season and celebrate as much as you can, because as much bad as there is in the year, like, we all go through it. We've all had bad moments and bad months and just bad things happen, but there's always good. 365 days, there has to be good in that. And I do believe that. If you listen to my previous episode about gratitude, there is always good in our day. No matter how bad it is, there is always something to be grateful for. And so really leaning into that. And I want to segue now into the podcast, like, why we're here. 6 months, you guys, 6 months, 10 episodes. Like, what? Launched on June 22nd, 2025. And here we are. When this episode's going to air, it'll be December 22nd, 2025. Holy smokes. I'm going to say I'm very proud of what I've built and what I launched. And it has taken so much work, so much devotion, so much commitment, so much energy, so much time, so much heart, so much technology, so much learning, and so much love and creation has gone into everything from beginning to end. Like, everything from start to finish. It has been, wow, it's been a ride in itself. It's been a roller coaster, but it has been something, like, I'm thriving off of it. I love it so much. I definitely feel like this is a part of my calling. It's another avenue for me to show up and to be creative. And I love being creative. I love writing. I love coming up with ideas. I love just speaking. Like, I actually really enjoy speaking, and I have so much feedback around that all the time. It took me a long time to actually build and launch the Story Hour podcast. If you listen to episode 1, you can dive all into that of how it started, how I got here. But here I am, and I want to reflect on that as we close off the year and 6 months that the podcast has been on for. And just thank you, thank you, thank you to the TSH community. It has been such a pleasure to get to be here in this space with you, and to have you listen and to watch and to share and download the episodes and support me, because it takes a village. I talk about this a lot, right? It takes all of us. And so without you, there's no Story Hour podcast, right? And so I want to keep that momentum going. I want to build upon that. I don't know where 2026 is going to take me, but take the Story Hour podcast, but we are going to do it. And I am going to continue to put energy into this, because it's something that really fills my cup. Honestly, like, it fills my cup so much. And then I just love, and I'm so grateful, and I'm so blessed that I can now be of service and in this way. And so to me, that's really important. And to have these really raw conversations that don't happen often enough. And so I am here to change that. I'm here to change the game around storytelling and vulnerability and connection and community and the collective healing that happens. Even if you're just listening from your home and, we haven't even really connected personally, this is helping, because this is impacting you, and then it's going to impact someone else, because then you're going to share it and talk about it. You're going to start doing the work yourself. Hopefully you are taking all the tools, the coping mechanisms, the resources, and everything that I'm sharing, the inspiration, the empowerment, the guests that I have on here, their stories and their wisdom and their transformation, them rebuilding their life after loss, like, all of it. I hope you're too taking action in your own life. And that's the collective healing part, right? We do this together. And so I'm just really happy, and I can't believe, like, what a success it's been. And I'm just really, really, really grateful. Yeah, I love you. I love you guys. So what I wanted to drop in this episode was 6 insights from 6 months of podcasting. Not a full year, but that's okay. If you listen, but June 22nd is actually a really special day. That's the day that my life came crashing down, and I was at the lowest of the lowest. I was in the pit of the darkness, couldn't see anything, couldn't see any light, metaphorically and physically, because my vision was so bad. And also, remember, both and, that was the best day of my life. Now, looking back in hindsight, because if that day did not happen, I would not be here with you now, 7.5 years later on December 22nd, recording and launching this episode and sharing with you everything I've learned in 7.5 years, everything I've poured my heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears that I've put into personally and professionally into my life to get to where I am. And now I get to share that with you. And now I get to educate you. And now I get to inspire you. And now I get to hold space for you. Like, to me, that is just a true testament. So that launch date was very intentional for June 22nd, 2025. And, sure enough, I'm launching this on December 22nd. And I don't think that's any coincidence. I think that was meant to happen. And the reason is because I already have another episode lined up that was already in the works to be published next week. Otherwise, I would have launched this episode before the 22nd. But when I was looking at the calendar, I was like, that just makes perfect sense. And it's my niece's birthday, so that makes me extra special and extra happy, but literally 6 months to the T. And so, again, I just want to say thank you. So, 6 insights from 6 months of podcasting. Like I said, it's taken me a lot. I had so much fear. I had so much insecurities. I had all the self-doubt. And the one biggest thing, I was just sharing this with my cousin over the weekend. One of the biggest things that held me back was I kept comparing myself to the people who are at the top of the podcast, like the number one, the number two, like the Diary of a CEO, Joe Rogan, Call Her Daddy, whatever, those top podcasts. I was comparing myself to them. Like, how stupid, right? Looking back at it, but like it's just like that. We all do that, right? We compare ourselves to where people are at the top, but everyone starts somewhere. They also started at the bottom. They grew, they made their way up to the top. And I think it's one of my insights, but it robs us so much of our own creation, of our own voice and our own ability to do and create things on our own. And so that was one of my biggest things. And it was like, I can't be on Spotify. That's for people who are artists and singers and who are big time known people in the world. How can I put myself on Spotify? There's no way I could do that. How am I going to be on podcasts? This is out in the world. This is on huge platforms. So I also put these platforms on pedestals. Spotify, Apple, YouTube channel. I'm like, what? YouTube channel? When you think of YouTube channel, you think about these people who have millions upon millions of views and subscribers and all of that. That's what I was comparing myself to the whole time. And again, listen to the first episode of this podcast, and it was in my ear, in my heart, in my intuition, in my gut. Like, you should start a podcast for a good year and a half, maybe even 2 years, a year and a half, I'd say. You should do it. And the feedback I get throughout school all the time, you're very good at speaking. You can articulate yourself well, even through work. Clients would say that, and even colleagues would say that. Like, you should start a podcast or you should do this. But I was just always so scared. And like we all are about anything, right? There's so much fear because, again, we compare ourselves and we have so many insecurities. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done there because a lot of those stem from childhood, from just the way our culture is societally and all of that. And I'm here to say, break that glass ceiling. Like, we can do anything that we put our mind, heart, and soul to. Period. Full stop, period. And it's going to be messy. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to fail many times over and over. But at least you're starting. At least you're doing something, right? Because that voice is going to nudge you. It's going to continue to nudge you and nudge you. You're going to keep thinking, I want to do this, but then the fear is going to stop you. And it's when we take action that the fear starts to dissipate. Your body's like, oh, this actually wasn't that bad. This is actually okay. It's a learning curve for sure. I can do this. It's going to take some time, but that's okay. That's when your nervous system starts to feel a little bit more grounded and regulated. Like, okay, we make things out to be so big in our head. We're so good at that. Humans in general, we're so good at making up stories and, making up like, oh, this is what's going to happen. And it's a safety mechanism for sure. It's a protective mechanism. Our basic needs are being just not met, or they're just going to be ruffled. And what are we going to do? And that's a very human instinct to protect your safety, those basic needs. But it's also where the most growth happens. And I do believe that's why we're here on Earth. And I've shared that a lot before. And so to lean into that, and usually on the other side of that, whatever the situation or whatever it is that you're working towards or whatever it is, right? Is like usually it's not as bad as we thought. And if it didn't work out, then we've learned lessons along the way. They're all teachings. What can we take from those moments that didn't work out or that we failed or that things just didn't go the way they should have? How can we use that as fuel and as a foundation of, okay, like we need to pivot, we need to do things differently because that didn't really land. What else can we do? And that's where the creative side of us comes in. I think we're all creative. I really do. We're so unique, right? Each and every one of us. My podcast is going to look very different than your podcast, using that as an example, right? My creative writing, my outlet, the way I speak, the way I edit, the way I market is going to be very different than someone else. That's the beauty of it. But we get so caught up in how everyone else is doing it. And I'm including myself in that. I'm like that too. I still struggle with that from time to time. I've become more okay with it and doing things in my way because it feels right. But you still get caught up in that. And so, yeah, just sharing all that because it took a long time. And now here I am. I'm so happy, like so happy that I leaned into that this year at the beginning of the year and I took action and I said to the fear, we are going to be okay. We are going to be okay. It's okay. We will figure it out. I actually have conversations with that part of me. If you've done therapy, parts work, we all have different parts, and fear is another part of us. And so I like to talk to it and actually acknowledge it because the more we shove it down, right, the more we push it, it's going to fester. It's going to stay in your body and it's going to keep getting louder and louder and louder until you address it, until you have a conversation with it. I find that's helpful. I've been doing that. And I said, just do it, Sarah, like literally just do it. And I'm so glad I did. And to be honest, I learned most of it all on my own. I had a friend, Tara, shout out to you, who runs the Life with Grief podcast. She was such a good help because she did share some of the platforms she was using and gave me a little bit of insight to it on a phone call. And I appreciated that so much. I was on her podcast and we really connected. And then I told her after a call, I'm like, oh, like I really feel like I want to do this. Like I thrive in this. I love connecting with other people and getting to know their story and hearing the wisdom and the lessons in their own journey to help support me. And she was the one that really pushed me and just said, Sarah, just do it. And so I really want to acknowledge her. Tara, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. We have this like little friendship, if you will, on the online space. I've had Tara on my podcast as well. She is so amazing. And so Tara gave me some platforms. And so I did my own research after and I looked into it and I did it all on my own. No support. I don't have an assistant. I don't have anyone doing my editing. I've been doing it all. I'm a one-woman show at the Story Hour podcast. And it has been so much pride, I have to say, because I did it. I did the damn thing. And I won't sit on my deathbed regretting that because I would have. When I'm on my deathbed and I didn't do this, I would have said, I should have just done that. I should have launched that podcast. What would have happened? Like, where could I have been if I did that? And so if you've watched my previous episode, you know what I'm talking about when I talk about deathbed regrets. So I am here to say this will not be one of my regrets. And thank you to my grandmas and to just grief and loss and to really pushing me to the edges because that's what life's about. And if I didn't push myself to the edge and give myself grace and compassion for messing it up, for, fumbling along the way, I wouldn't be here with you recording the 10th episode and making such a big impact in my community, in my life. And that's what we're meant to do, right? We're here to be of service. I believe that. We're all rooted in that, in whichever way that looks like for you. And so for me, this fuels me. It's like lights a fire under my ass, to be honest. And it makes me so happy. And yeah. So 6 insights from 6 months of podcasting. Again, this can apply to not just podcasting, but anything in life, whether you're wanting to switch jobs. You're like, this job is not fulfilling me. I need something different. And that voice keeps telling you, there's something else. You can do more. Lean into that, right? It's going to be scary. It's going to be messy, like I said, but you got to lean into it. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And then whether it is you want to launch something, maybe it's just showing up on social media. I know that's a big one for a lot of people. Maybe it's just putting your voice out there. You're like, I want to start sharing my story, or I want to get creative. I want to build something. Maybe it's a passion project. Maybe it is a business if that's what you're interested in or whatever it is. That all applies. Everything that I'm sharing right here with you, right? It just takes one step. You take one step, and you take another step, and then you take a third step, and then you take a fourth step. And before you know it, you've taken millions of steps. And you're only going to grow in that. The worst that's going to happen is what? You're going to grow and you're going to evolve and you're going to build your confidence. You're going to learn to use your voice. You're going to step into your courage and your bravery and all of that. And you're going to be so fulfilled because you're doing something that lights you up. All of it, right? So when I'm sharing these, apply them to your own life with where you're at. So 6 insights from 6 months of podcasting. Number 1, don't let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. I've shared this before. It's a beautiful quote from the movie A Cinderella Story with Hilary Duff and Chad Michael Murray. It's one of my favorite movies. That quote is from that movie. Don't let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game, right? So like I was saying, don't let fear stop you. Don't let fear be the thing that prevents you from moving forward and doing big things and chasing your goals and doing the thing that you really want that's on your heart. Don't let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. Because I will tell you, the opportunities, you never know who you're going to touch, what doors will open for you on the other side of that fear. So, number 2, do it scared. Do it messy. Do it when you don't have it all figured out. We all have to start somewhere. Stepping outside your comfort zone is how you find your voice, build your confidence, and learn to shine. Through and through, I believe that. Number 3, there is no such thing as failure. You only fail when you don't try. Everything else is a lesson that helps you evolve and grow. Number 4, stop comparing yourself to others. Even the people at the very top started at the bottom and worked their way up. Number 5, don't put anyone on a pedestal. Doing so robs you of your own uniqueness, your gifts, your wisdom, your voice, and your message. It dims your light. The world needs you, not a replica of someone else. Number 6, let go of perfectionism. There's a quote I heard from my therapist: done is better than perfect. So there you have it. The 6 lessons, insights that I've learned from podcasting, from life in general, from running a business and leaning into that and all the things in the last 7.5 years, whether that was with my health, taking a chance at alternative treatment and holistic health, jumping on a plane and going to south of India where I've never been before and getting treatment that I had no idea what it was, what it entailed, and then incorporating that, integrating that, and now living a very holistic Ayurvedic lifestyle. All of that, right? Going back to school, launching the business, launching the podcast, just all the growth and transformation, using my voice, being on social media, being creative in my writing and blogging and speaking and presentations and all of that. These 6 insights, yes, from podcasting, but they're from just everything I've learned over the last 7.5 years. And I'm just so grateful and so blessed that I had the chance, that I had the ability to do that. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of inner work. But like I always say, nothing is going to change until you change. And taking action is where the change happens. We can't just think about it. We can't just sleep on it or talk about it or what have you. We have to take action. And so that's that. I am going to wrap this up now, and I want to acknowledge that we're at the end of the year, closing off 2025 and welcoming 2026. Like, holy smokes, how is that even possible? I hope you get to rest over the next couple of weeks during Christmas and the holidays and the new year. And I'm very big on reflection. As you know, I do it often throughout the year. But I do think a good time, like end of year and even early January. If you don't feel like doing it in December, I think that's actually okay. I don't believe in the New Year's resolutions and go hard, go fast, like right on January 1st. I used to because I fell into that trap because that's what social media was telling me. That's what everyone tells you. But I've learned over the ways that that's actually not the real New Year. If you look at it, it's actually not. Spring is usually when the actual New Year is. That's a whole other conversation. But January, we're literally knee deep in winter. Winter solstice is December, I think, 20 something. So January 1st, we're knee deep in winter. That's when we should be very much slowing down. We're more inwards. We're at home. People make all these goals and all these intentions like, yes, go hard, go fast. Like, I got this. And then why do we fail? You always hear this. This is such a common thing. You're going to hear people talk about it too. By February, they've fallen off because they have this attitude that it's an all or nothing and we have to go so hard, so fast. And if we don't, then, we're not going to make it. But I'm here to say, go really slow, right? Do this like intentionally. I really want you to sit with yourself, grab a pen, grab a paper. It's really helpful to do this cathartically, to write it out and sit there and think about it. Grab a journal and write out these prompts. You can even pause as I'm sharing and write them down or come back to the video and really sit with yourself and lean into it. It might be uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. But again, everything is uncomfortable. We have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. The only way change is going to happen is if we get honest with ourselves. And I want you to be really honest with yourselves when you're doing this exercise and be gentle. Give yourself grace, give yourself compassion. Again, we don't want that hard and fast attitude because that's just not how life works. That's how we set ourselves up for failure. Because when we have that, we are an all or nothing. I'm like that too. I've learned a lot along the ways, but it's like I'm either doing this all or nothing. But life doesn't work like that, right? So even an example, working out, let's use that because it's a prime example. If your goal is that you want to start working out, you want to lose weight or you want to get in shape, whatever it is, right? You want to gain weight, like whatever it is that you want with your health when it comes to physical health, start slow. Don't say I'm going to work out 6 days out of the week because that's honestly not realistic, right? At all. Start smaller. Say, okay, 3 days a week, I'm going to start working out and schedule it in, right? Like there's so many things that you can do. And then maybe this will be another conversation, but there's ways to do that. There's techniques that you can implement and stack your habits upon that. Just get really honest, right? Get really brutally honest with yourself. Because again, nothing's going to change until you get real honest and acknowledge what's working, what's not working, and then make small shifts with that. So again, I really want to encourage everyone to do this exercise. I promise you it'll be so great. And then come up with a plan and write it out and start small, but also give yourself grace and compassion. Like if you had a really shitty year because life was just lifing, acknowledge that and allow yourself that it was okay. Like I had a lot going on and that was a really shitty year, but there was also moments that brought me a lot of joy and really touch on those as well. Really want you to experience both of them and let it just be. No judgment, just curiosity of what came through and use that as fuel to how you want your next year to look like and feel like. Because the only way it's going to be different is if you do different or if you understand what you want to let go of and what you want to keep. So this is with health, relationships, work, personal, professional life, like any of it, whatever. Actually sit down with yourself and look at all those areas of your life, right? Your exercise, your eating habits, your relationships. Are there people that you just don't feel like you're connected with anymore or that you guys are just growing apart and they're draining you when you hang out or when you talk to them? Maybe it's time to separate that and let go of that. And that's not right or wrong. That just it is. I think it's okay to say no. So these are just examples of what I'm giving you, areas of your life, right? Whether it's work, maybe you're in a job that you really hate, that you don't like, or you're like, I need to get out of this. And then start talking about that, start reflecting on that and start brainstorming and getting creative of what your life could look like and what changes can you make if you can make any, and just see how you can live a more fulfilling life where you don't feel so stagnant and living in this mundane life that isn't really filling your cup. Because if our cup isn't full, how are we going to be of service to others? And no matter what, how are we going to show up to a job if we're not feeling full ourselves? We're not. We show up half-ass, right? And you see that. And that's not right or wrong, but that just is because people just don't have the capacity or the ability to cope. And so I'm here to bring that forward. So reflective prompts. Again, I encourage you to grab a journal. You can write these questions down now, or you can come revisit this video again, but I would give yourself some space and time. Don't just do it on a whim. Actually sit down with yourself when you have some quiet time and some time to just think and be introspective about the year in your life. So 1, what were your biggest challenges this year? 2, what were your greatest wins, accomplishments, and successes? Number 3, what worked? Number 4, what didn't work? Number 5, where did you experience the most joy, even in small moments? Secondary to that, what would it look like to intentionally invite more of that joy into your life next year? Really sit with that one. I mean, all of them, but yeah, sit with that one. Number 6, what are you wanting to let go of? Number 7, what are you wanting to bring forward? Number 8, what are your dreams, desires, goals, intentions for 2026? And again, this can be small. It doesn't have to be big and grand. Like I said, we don't have to go hard, go fast. They can be really small. I really want to put that out there. They don't have to be big things. They don't have to be materialistic things. They don't have to be these big grand gestures or anything. It can be even the smallest of things. My goal for 2026 is to spend more time with myself, to slow down, to start saying no to things that I don't want to attend. Like it can just be that, or going to bed on time. It doesn't have to be, well, I'm going to run a marathon in 2026, right? Like that's not going to happen if you've never ran before. So they don't have to be big if nothing big is coming to you. If there is something on your heart that's big and that you have an aspiration for, yeah, of course, write it down. But I know a lot of times people get tripped up around this because they're like, well, I don't really know. It can be in the smallest things. I want to be more present with my kids. Okay, number 9. What action steps can you take to fulfill those dreams, desires, and goals? Like I was saying, right? Come up with a plan, step by step. Take it slow, right? Again, using the workout example. Don't say you're going to work out 6 days a week when you know that's not possible. Start small and then work your way up. Last one, number 10. What were your biggest takeaways and lessons you learned in 2025? 10 really deep, introspective questions that you can sit with yourself, journal prompts that you can really pull out from there and see what comes up, right? And see what changes that you need to make in your life and what you want to make. And it's curiosity over judgment. We don't want any judgment here because we can really judge ourselves. We can start gaslighting ourselves. But again, where their accountability is needed, take accountability, right? If you know there's something that you've been saying year after year, but you're not doing it, unpack that. Ask yourself why. Why am I talking about the same thing every single year? Why am I yearning for something year after year, longing for something to be different, but I'm not doing anything about it? So I'm all about giving ourselves grace and compassion and all of that. And at the same time, I'm really much about calling it out, taking accountability, calling it as it is. Well, why haven't you done that thing? Why haven't you changed? And then unpacking that. Maybe there are some really good, valid reasons that you're not able to accomplish something or do something. But I would bet that there's a lot that we just don't do because of fear, because we're scared, because we don't want to put our voice out there. We don't want to be seen. We don't want anyone to judge us. And again, these are all valid. They're all valid. However, the only way out is through. So I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this conversation. I know it was kind of all over with Christmas and then singlehood and then the podcast and then now reflective prompts, but they're all very interconnected. And I'm just so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for supporting me, for the ones who have supported me and loved me and encouraged me along the way. I see you. I'm so grateful for you to have you in my corner. And for my listeners, for the ones I haven't even met yet, who are tuning in, thank you. Thank you for liking and downloading and subscribing. Please leave a review. I would really appreciate that. It would really help me. It would really help me get into focus and come up with ideas and creation for 2026. I would really appreciate that. And so I see all of you. And for the ones who are watching and don't engage or don't say anything, I see you too. Yeah, it is what it is. And I'm just really happy and proud. And I think that's one of the biggest things. We should be happy and proud of what we're creating and what we're doing in our life. Because again, going back to that conversation I had around singlehood, if we're expecting that from other people, but we don't feel that ourselves, that's going to feel really crappy, right? But of course, it's nice to be acknowledged. It's nice to be like, wow, you're doing a good job. And I'm not just talking about the podcast, I'm just saying in general. We need to start complimenting other people and congratulating them on things and sharing what they're doing outside of the standard norms about getting married, having a kid, or having a really good job, or moving up the ladder in your corporate job. All those things that we praise so much. It's like, fuck that. Like, no, there's so many other things that are way more important, or equally as important than that, right? So start sharing that with people. If you're walking around, you see someone, you're like, wow, you like their outfit, go tell them. Tell them you love their outfit. Give them a compliment. People love that. I love that. Who doesn't love that? And that's not a bad thing or egotistical thing. That's just life. That's just human nature. It's nice. So why not do that? And again, I don't want this to get out of context. I'm not talking about myself. I'm not talking about the podcast. I'm generally speaking, right? So anyways, we can talk for hours, but I'll be back. I'm going to take a couple of weeks off now and I'll see what comes through for January and see what I can bring to the Story Hour podcast. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all of it. And I will see everyone in 2026. See you next year.